Okay, so this is how I do my HDRs. First off, the setup. When you do this setup, I have the 7000, so I have decent options. I can do bracketing, I can do interval time shooting. Um, those are very helpful. You don't need them, it's just easier. If you don't have interval or the bracketing, then you're going to have to use the exposure compensation. Um, you don't have to have a tripod if you have the bracketing, but if you don't have the interval, if you don't have the bracketing, then you're going to want a tripod because you have to use the exposure compensation button on the top to change it around. So first, I always have my aperture set to at least 8. You want a high one so everything's in focus. Then everything else, shutter speed, all that depends on the type of shot you're trying to get and the lighting. So I set my bracketing to 3 because that's the most this camera can do. So I do -2, 0, +2. Always shooting raw. So in that case, sometimes I'll just use 0 and then go to Photoshop and make it -2. But sometimes it doesn't always work. So it's best to do 3. So what I do here with interval time shooting, once I get everything set up, it's sitting on my tripod and I have the lighting right, I go to interval time shooting, turn it on, and we'll bracket 3 different exposures. So you can see that's the darkest, that's the middle, that's the brightest. That's what the HDR is, high dynamic range. Just going to get all the shadows and all the highlights. Then what you're going to do is I use a program called Photomatix, wherever that may be. Yeah, I'll shut it down. Right. Open it up, generate HDR, browse files. For this one, yeah. Oh, bloody hell. I use these 3. 1000, but that's just the darkest. Then the middle one's the brightest, and the last one's the middle tone. And hit select. Okay. Okay. And then it's going to do that. So the other way to do it while this is loading, if you don't have bracketing, the little button normally on Nikons up here, on Canons I have no clue, but you push that and then you move the dial to -2. I can't see the numbers. 1.3, whatever it is, and then say it's at -2. Take the shot. 0. Take the shot. +2. Take the shot. So that's what you do if you don't have bracketing. Besides that, that's all you have to do with the camera. Then once you're in here, you go to tone mapping. Then this is what it looks like. You can change some of the settings, so sometimes in here I won't like the certain light mode, so I'll change it to high or max, or very rarely ever do minimum because that just looks weird and crappy. Or I'll just do the soothing from here. Most stuff I do in Lightroom, I don't do in here. But anyways, after that, then you just hit process. And this is it. And you hit, and then save, but I don't want to save it, it's already have it on my computer. And I'll open up Lightroom, and this is it right here. The first thing I did was, when I saw this, it was too bright, So I'll get this, and then just fill all this in up to here. Doesn't have to be perfect, I don't care. And then, since it's so bright, I want to bring down the highlights. Bring down the shadows just to darken it up a bit. For that's basically all I did there. I mean, you can change the tint, the temp to make it a little bit bluer, but I don't care. Contrast doesn't really do much on this one. So once I'm done with that, then I go here. Of course, you want to bump contrast. Boom. This one I warmed it up a bit just because I was at the beach. Oh, Jesus. So just a slight warmness, and then highlights, bring it down just so you can see a little bit more in the water. Clarity, bump it up, why not? It's up to you on how you edit. Go down, maybe add a vignette, feather, always put it up. So it makes 90 feet inch. For some reason, Photomatix always has this black line here. Why it is, I don't know. But I just take that and I'll crop it out. And that's just a quick little breakthrough of what I do in Lightroom. I hit Y. That's the before. That's the after. And this is the before HDR. This isn't the three different. This is like one of the exposures. This is all three. And then this is, I guess, the final. But yeah, that's how I do my HDRs. You don't have to have any special high-tech gear. Mine, I'm using my kit 18 to 105. I mean, you can tell it's kind of murphed up, but you know, from back here you can't tell as much. Besides that, any questions? Well, let me know.